There are creators, there are builders, and then there are the people whose ideas reshape culture. Paddy Dunning is one of them. He's revived Irish institutions, built iconic creative spaces, and created worlds people step into physically and emotionally. Grouse Lodge Studios, the National Wax Museum, and the Button Factory. And now, something no one has ever attempted, the world's tallest moving statue, the Giant. This isn't the press release version of Paddy. This is the unfiltered version. The man who imagined the impossible and then built it. Paddy, you're so welcome to Unfiltered Podcast. Take us back to the moment when you heard Michael Jackson was actually coming to Westmeath.
When he arrived.
What year was this, just to give people an idea?
2006.
Right.
Yeah, 2006. And he arrived, and the bus came in and into the back of into the stable yard, and the kids came out, and Michael came out, and my kids and met his kids, and I met Michael, my wife met Michael, and it was a bit surreal, that we'd have Michael Jackson in our house to do a month's recording. Just 1 month, but eventually, he loved it. He fell in love with the studio, fell in love with the county, and then just wanted to stay there, and ended up staying for 6 months, and then wanted to come back and live here and produce bands. So we were looking forward to that, and he a week before he was to come back, he died. A week before he was to do those shows and then come back to Ireland, he died.
Tell me, is there any plans for Madonna to come?
No, I've given up on Madonna.
Or are your lips sealed and you're not telling us?
I've given up, but I've, so yeah, I'd love to record. There's a lot of artists I'd love to record. Nick Cave, I'd love to record. And Tom Waits, and there's a lot of artists we'd love to record, but yeah, you never know what's going to come in next week. We're recording the Saw Doctors at the moment, and they're a brilliant band. I love them guys, and they give so much fun to people all around the world. They bring a bit of Ireland, to them wherever they are, Australia or America or wherever, and they're selling big audiences now, which is great. And Paolo Nutini has been with us. He loves, again, Westmeath, and
you actually called Paolo Nutini for me when I was with you one time. You told me you were friends with him, and I was like, "Prove it, call him." And you literally did. So, who's been your favorite artist that has been, who has actually been to, apart from Michael Jackson?
I don't have a favorite artist.
No.
I just love them all.
Yeah,
I treat them all the same. We love when there are artists in Grouse Lodge because the place comes alive, and you can feel the vibes. It's full of positivity and inspiration, and with Claire, my wife, and my kids, Lizzie and Kate, and Evan Gannon, who's the manager there, and our sound engineers, Alex and Mikey, and so on. They put 110% into it, and they go the extra mile to make sure the experience of the artist is good, and they feel at home, and they do that. And when they're feeling at home, they're relaxed, and when they're relaxed, just those creative juices, just so lots of it's Paolo came out one day, and he said, "What's the name of that tree?" I said, "That's a cherry blossom." It was beautiful blossom. And then I remember, like, a year later, driving down from Dublin back to Westmeath, and you're listening on the radio, and it's Paolo singing "Cherry Blossom," so, and a great song written here, same with Chasing Cars with Snow Patrol, written in Westmeath and Grouse Lodge. So many other songs.
It's incredible. Paddy, for anyone who hasn't been to Grouse Lodge, can you just give them a kind of a visual of what it's like? I've been there, it's absolutely incredible, but can you tell the listeners what it's like?
Like, Grouse Lodge is just an old house. It's very, very old, 300-year-old house. It's actually 300 years this year, 2020. It was built in 1724. So, it's not a massive mansion, but it had 2 stable yards, a farmyard and a stable yard for horses, and we basically converted them into bedrooms for the artists, and then we built a studio onto it. But the garden is lovely. I think we've done a good job, but it's a working garden. It's a real garden. We feed we grow the vegetables ourselves, and we feed them to the bands, to the artists. So can cut a head of lettuce and it can be on the plate and 10 minutes later. Same with the tomatoes and onions and carrots and beetroot and everything. So the bands usually arrive, tired, they haven't eaten properly, spotty and everything, and they go with ready to rock.
I love that. And you tell us about the pool, the sauna. We've everything there. You don't have to leave the place.
All of those things, and it was all built with local, by local people in Westmeath, in Castletown, in Rosemount. I got so much help from other people in Rosemount and Ballymore in Westmeath. The Kirby family and Mick Nolan and the electricians, and my uncle was a great help as well. He became the house electrician for many years now. He's over 80 now, so he's retired. But I got so much help. We got so much help from everyone. This is brilliant.
I love that. So Paddy, tell me this, right? So you've been a musician yourself. Where should musicians focus today to actually make money?
Oh, it's terrible. It's not easy. I mean, the whole system is against the musicians, and the music industry has not recognized musicians like France has. France treats their musicians and their artists quite well. I really do think we need to have a rethink about how we treat our musicians and our artists, our dancers, our actors and actresses, all of that. I think because it's so hard if you want to be an artist to make a good living, so I do think that the whole music industry has totally been changed upside down, and music is basically free now. It's and bands have to make money going out on tour. So I think the whole industry, through the digitalization of that and the internet, governments and the music industry and the record companies never legislated properly to protect the music that the musicians were creating, and therefore it went out on Spotify and musicians are being paid pittance. It's dreadful. And it has to be changed and it has to be tackled. I hope to be involved in it soon when I get some time.
What revenue streams do you think musicians overlook?
Nowadays, as I said, musicians have to make music for film. There's musicians now that, they do weddings and they do, bit of photography, or they might do some storytelling, or they might do some writing or whatever. And, the 1% or the 2% of all the musicians make money and the rest of them don't. But they keep on doing it. And I hope they do keep on doing it, because it really does add to the quality of your life playing music, regardless of whether you're playing it for money or not.
So what's your thoughts then on musicians posting all of their music for free on platforms for exposure?
It's terrible that they have to do that, and that they don't get paid. They should be posting it, and it should be valued, when somebody listens to it.
What's your thoughts on Spotify?
Again, I think it's crazy that you can get music for so little, when the musicians have put so much into it.
So what opportunities do you see then for musicians coming up with the digital age?
Life is tough, so keep on going. Determination, perseverance, and, artists have to persevere and keep going. And, when if they do become famous, because a lot of them are there for the fame, then they find out that that's not all what it seemed to be.
Yeah.
And, we all get a bit wiser as we get older, and they fall back in love with the music that they fell in love with when they first picked up a guitar or played the piano. So, it's tough for musicians. It's not getting any easier.
Oh no, definitely not in the digital age anyways. So Paddy, as a venue owner, what actually makes an artist profitable?
There's very few musicians making money. It's great to see musicians making money and making profits, but of all the millions of them, it's only hundreds that are making profits, or in the low thousands. So you've got to play gigs, you've got to go out and do it. You've got to think about it as a business, and you've got to, you've got to be professional, and you've got to grind. You've got to really work hard. It's like anything else, but it's not easy to be profitable. So few musicians become profitable. But again, a lot of them realize they're in it for the love, and it's a vocation, and they want to continue doing it, whether they're successful or not. And it's so many musicians have kept going for years and years and years, and then bang, they get a number one.
Now, talking about money, what is the best advice you've ever received about money?
Well, money for me, I've been very, very, very lucky. I started off with rehearsal studios in 1984, and I had a bit of money coming in from that. My friends helped me set up the rehearsal studios. My friends, other friends, there was no money in 1984 in Dublin, so they all had to leave and go to America and go to Australia. So I've been very, very lucky. For some reason, money I've worked hard all my life, and I've always kind of had a bit of money coming in, but I've always spent it. I've always reinvested it. I've never really saved money, because I've always reinvested it. So I would tell anybody, reinvest. I suppose you've got to spread it. What I've learned is if you've got a bit of money, you keep a bit of cash for a rainy day. You put a bit of money into property. You put a bit of money into yourself. Your health is your wealth, really. You spend. I hate mean people. Don't spend a bit of money, or buy around, or buy lunch or whatever. Money's for spending, so spend it, but spend it wisely.
What do the wealthiest creative people actually do with their money?
So you've got James Dyson spending, his money on land, because he sees that as the future. Obviously technology, but land, property. Tech is what people are investing in. AI, and new technology. If I was asked what is the best way of living, it's moderately and spreading whatever income you have in buying a house, putting some money away for a rainy day, and then spending the rest on your family.
What do you think people, or musicians in particular, misunderstand about cash flow?
A lot of musicians don't have any cash. Like anything that's coming in is going out. So they're struggling. When musicians, hit the big time, they probably think this is going to happen forever, and they just spend, and then they find out, oh my God, I've no money left.
Right.
Which has happened to lots of musicians that I know. Okay,
Paddy, so we're after talking about the financial side of a musician's life, but what about the training side of the musician's life?
In 1984, we set up rehearsal studios, and then in 1985, I think, or 86, we set up recording studios. But there was no, because there was no recording studios, very few anyway. And then there was no sound engineers to everyone wanted to be a sound engineer or a musician, but there was nowhere to train. So we set up the Sound Training College in 1986 in Dublin, in Temple Bar, which became very successful in educating people, sound engineers, stage, roadies, managers. We've even now just recently delivered some pilot projects here in Westmeath, which was created when we were setting up the Festival of the Fires, and with David Clark on Ishnock, and we found that there was no courses to train people in festivals and event management. So we set that up in the Sound Training College as well. So now in the Sound Training College, we run sound engineer courses, roadie courses, event management, whether it be setting up stages for an Ordesh or fashion shows or festivals, and we run festival courses as well, and which is great to see now. There's been a boom of festivals, properly run, well planned, safe, using health and safety standards, and so that was a good achievement for the Sound Training College. Was to fulfill these courses. Originally, they weren't being done in Ireland, so we were first to break into that whole area.
You have played and are playing a huge part of the music ecosystem, really, Paddy. We've a lot to thank you for.
Well, thank you. No, I've been very lucky to be in it. And yeah, we have been first in a lot of things with setting up the rehearsal studios and the recording studios and the college, and then like Ireland's first residential recording studio. Everything we do really is a first. But it's no brainwave. It's just, to me, it's just something that there's a niche and there's a need. Let's do it.
Talk to me about the Wax Museum.
The Wax Museum, like, again, I never thought that we would run the Wax Museum. And again, it comes back to Westmeath. The guys in Westmeath, Donny Cassidy, Jack Fagan, Mick Kirby, they were all involved in the setting up of the Wax Museum, which then Paddy Kelly, who was developing Smithfield, had asked me, come up with an idea, Paddy, for something for Smithfield. And I went around the world and came back to him and said, listen, I think the best thing you could do is, because he wanted something commercial and cultural. And I said, Madame Tussauds makes a lot of money. And he said, well, let's buy the Wax Museum. And I went into Donny Cassidy. And Donny says, hey, I know your granddad. He canvassed, I knew your uncle, and so it took 3 hours to find out whether Donny was going to sell us the Wax Museum. And I've known Donny now ever since, became a great friend of his. And yeah, he sold it to Paddy Kelly, and I was involved in it, and then it became mine, which is now passed on to my kids, and they're loving it. It's quirky, it's brilliant, it gets lots of people, and it's a great thing to do when you're in Dublin, to kill an hour. And it celebrates all the inventors, and it's got the Chamber of Horrors, it's got so many different things. It's eclectic and crazy, it's a bit weird, and it's kind of bit Victorian as well. So it's just there on O'Connell Street, and it gets a lot of people from all over the world. It's unbelievable, and people come back to it every year. When they come back to Ireland, they pop in, see who's next, see who's new.
Yeah, I loved it when I was younger. I have really cool memory of being there, going to see Foster and Allen in the Wax Museum. It was one of the best memories. Like, I couldn't be, like, when you're so young, you just think your granddad's your granddad, and then to see a life-size version of him, it was really weird, but so cool at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a really magical place.
Yeah, it's magic. Yeah, I love going into it. I still love, and the staff are great, and they welcome you, and yeah, it's just there on O'Connell Street. I love it.
So what has the Wax Museum then taught you about tourism and business?
You got to treat the people well. You got to treat the staff well. So the way I kind of, with staff, I go in and support the staff. I've got great people working around me, and I pass that vibe on of being happy to the staff, and the staff then are happy with the customers. So a big smile is so important, so when you're coming into the Wax Museum, we kind of start the thing going, listen, outside is reality, but in here is all fantasy. You're going to have a great time, and you tell them, you're going to enjoy this, and they do. What
made you take on a venue, Paddy? It's a big undertaking.
Again, there was no venue in Dublin. There was all these small little tiny things, and it was all, there was no purpose-built venue, and the sound wasn't good. The facilities for the bands weren't good, so we wanted to build we had rehearsal studios, we had recording studios, we had the college, we needed a performance space. It was pretty straightforward, and so we built the Button Factory, which the Temple Bar. The building is called the Temple Bar Music Centre, and within that is the Button Factory venue, and it was a button factory. They actually made buttons there. It's good. It's a good venue. It's a great sound, great lights. It's intimate.
Yeah.
And it's gone really well. We just won Venue of the Year.
Oh, wow.
So it was great for the staff to get, for all the hard work to get recognised, and it's just given them a whole lift. So, and the Button Factory's gone really, really well, and hope long may it live.
And you have the Rock and Roll Museum. Is there anything you don't have?
These are just things that, again, we've got a fantastic heritage of music. And I was going like, there's nothing to celebrate the heritage of music and all the bands from U2 to Thin Lizzy to Rory Gallagher to all those amazing bands, Aslan. And so many people. I think it's 35-40% of people that come to Ireland come here because of the music. So we decided to try facilitate that. And again, I do all of these things. I'm not funded. I have to do everything. Kind of. The banks don't give you loans for these type of things. And so what was a great thing was Philomena Lynott, who I used to call her Auntie Philomena, and she was really, really good to me over the years. I used to go out to her, stay out in her house, and I spent a lot of time with her, and I've got great stories, with Philomena. But in the last few years of her life, she said, Paddy, I'd like you to take my son's, the stuff that I have for my son, and because she heard that I was thinking of trying to set up a museum. So she gave me all of his stuff. So, I have, his guitars, his jackets, his records, his jukebox. This is Philip Linnett's. And that gave us a great foundation to build and develop and launch. In 2015, we launched the Irish Rock and Roll Museum. And it's gone to number one, and people get kind of private tours of it, which includes rehearsal studios, the recording studios. It includes the Button Factory venue, and it's a great experience. And it's gone to number one on TripAdvisor.
Where is it?
It's in Temple Bar.
Right. I actually know it.
Yeah.
I actually know it now that you're saying it.
So you get a history of Irish music. You get a sense of walking into rehearsal studios and recording studios. We've got the biggest mixing desk in the country, and it's quite technical as well. We show them all the machinery and that would be in a recording studio. There's bits of equipment there that recorded Rattle and Hum, U2, and recorded all AC/DCs. We've got stuff from Wimbledon Studios as well, and there was so many great albums recorded there. So people come in and they see the piece of equipment that was integral to, AC/DC's, number one album, and they kiss it. They kiss the equipment, and it's like the Oracle. It means so much to them. So it's a great place, the Rock and Roll Museum, and I suppose it's the sister museum of the Wax Museum.
So Paddy, this giant, why this project and why now?
Well, again, everything keeps on coming back to Westmeath. When we were before 2008, before the crash of 2008, I was working with Francis up in the north, a great artist, who we kind of designed a 7-story tall giant, we were going to call it Gulliver, and we were going to look at putting it into Belvedere or putting it over to Lilliput. And anyway, the crash happened and that never happened. But we did design it. It was beautiful. It was a statue with a viewing platform in the hat of Gulliver, and it had a museum in it, and it was made of larch wood, stained glass, and copper.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful materials.
Touch of the Statue of Liberty there, Paddy.
It was. If it stood up, it would be as big as the Statue of Liberty, if not bigger. So it was a statue sitting down, you can see the image of that on the Wax Museum. But anyway, we never got it built. I still think it should be built either in Westmeath or up in Dublin, maybe in Dublin Castle or something like that. But I thought about the idea of building another giant, like a Churchill in London, right, or a Dali in Barcelona, or all these giants around the world that made a difference to their country and to the world, and like Gandhi for India, Mozart for Vienna, and all of these structures. And I fell in love with the whole idea of giants and the human form, the giganticness of such big statues. because they're icons, and I kind of studied it a lot, and suppose from coming from the Wax Museum where you study figurines, etc. I got interested in it, and like, why are we interested in statues, and all that. And then I kind of worked out, why can't we build a statue that can be a man or a woman? Why does it have to be? Because they're all usually men. And so I said, why can't we build a giant statue that can turn into people and can change and can celebrate, the giants of music or the giants of sport or the giants of history or whatever. And then there wasn't this technology around. So then we decided we'd try create this technology. So over a 14 or 15 year period, we managed to research the whole concept. I went to Berlin. We set up workshops. I worked with so many different people on it. Jump for 14 or 15 years forward, and we've built the biggest moving statue in the world. And it's in America now. It's in boxes, and it's going to get set up in Las Vegas, where we're going to launch the kind of first prototype, which is 7 stories tall. We're now working on a 10-story and a 20-story tall statue. And these statues can talk, sing, they recite poetry. They're like big robots, but they're the human form. And we love looking at each other. We love looking at the human form. We can't take our eyes off each other. It's a crazy project, but we've managed to patent our technology. And it's great for an Irish company with the assistance of Enterprise Ireland and Peter Burke, have from Westmeath, comes back to Westmeath. We're now looking forward to rolling out this project around the world. France gave 1 statue to America, and we have this idea of Ireland giving 20, 30 statues that are as big as of the Statue of Liberty or even bigger, and placing them in super cities all around the world, linking Ireland to that city, because we can share the data, share the information. They all turn into stages. They all become venues. They all become visitor attractions. And we've organised all these different revenue streams that the city can get from that giant, because the giant tells the story of that city and of that country.
Right. So if somebody goes to visit the giant, then what can they expect to feel or see?
Well, firstly, they will see something awesome. They'll see this massive, massive giant statue. Again, the biggest moving statue in the world. So it's stationary, but the arms move, the head moves. It can turn. It can talk to the person below. It can integrate. Each giant will be linked to every kid's school classroom in the world. Because we're giving over time every morning to schools, so they can upload their information or their drawings, and it will be shown on the giant. Each giant wakes up every morning and says something beautiful to start the day for that city, and then it will celebrate. If it's in Dublin, for instance, and we're working on the Dublin one with Dublin City Council and Fáilte, Ireland. It will, if it's Bloomsday, it will turn into James Joyce, and James Joyce will talk, and recite poetry. If it's Yeats' birthday or anniversary, it'll turn into Yeats, and if it's Elvis Presley's birthday, it can turn into Elvis Presley, or any man or any woman. And that's a great thing. It can turn into any man or any woman. So we can celebrate now all the great women that are heroes. That weren't celebrated before. And also, we've developed a scanning system that the visitor can get scanned and they become the giant. And there's nothing like that on the planet. An Irish company has developed a scanning system that can scan themselves, and then it's uploaded, and immediately the giant turns into that person. And that person can talk and recite poetry, or use it to launch their book or their band or their company.
So if a musician was then to launch their band or launch their album or their single, the number one question, how do they actually make money from that? Or what is the plan?
So the at the base of the giant, they can perform. They can perform and charging for that. So each giant becomes a stage, and then that musician can turn into the giant. So the giant acts as a backdrop, like an awesome backdrop. It's the biggest art project on the planet, not just art, but structurally as well. And we've got a great team working it.
Creators are really concerned and worried about technology and AI.
Learn about it, use it. It's an opportunity, and it's there to be used for everyone. It's amazing that AI is there. Of course, it's we don't know what it means really yet, but for instance, for us, our artists are all using it, and we're commissioning artists, musicians to work with the giant, digital artists, all types of artists to work and use AI and use it for their benefit.
Can it talk? Did we?
Yeah, the giant can talk.
Have you turned it into yourself?
And I have scanned I've scanned anybody that comes into our kind of laboratory or our studio gets scanned, and we actually have a 4-meter tall head, which we can scan them and show them what they're going to look like on the giant, on the head. So it's amazing. So they can talk and sing and recite poetry and promote. They can promote their book or their movie or whatever using the giant. It's a platform to express oneself.
Paddy, you've done so much for artists in this country. Is the giant your way of giving back?
I suppose in a way, if hopefully it'll be successful, so it will be a bit of a legacy. But it's groundbreaking, and it involves hundreds and hundreds of people. So, and yes, there is a giant give back to each city. The giant has a foundation, so some of the profits will be given back into the city, and for educational programs and so on. So, giving back is so important, and especially at this point of my life, I'm going, what the hell have I actually done really for people? But I'm kind of really reflecting on my life now and what is really important, and a lot of what I'm doing, I don't really think is too important in comparison to what all these amazing frontliners do.
So what do you want your legacy to be then?
Oh God, I definitely need to do more, whether it be, I don't know, charity work or doing stuff that's not for me, and doing stuff for other people that doesn't really benefit me. I need to do that. I need to think about that.
Paddy, do you ever switch off?
I do, yeah. I switch off when I'm in Westmeath on a horse, and picking stones and walking through the fields of Westmeath with the dogs. And I love Westmeath, and I love the people here. I definitely feel at home in Westmeath and switch off. And I love being outdoors and being with nature. And I think it's really important is to get people out of the rooms, out of the cities and into the countryside. And it is happening since COVID. I mean, loads of people are going for their walks and they're going for their runs, but spending more time out in fresh air is where it's all for me.
Well, I am so looking forward to seeing this giant project. And Paddy, thank you so much for sharing your unfiltered story with us here today. What you're building isn't just architecture, it's legacy, identity and creativity. A global symbol born from Irish creativity. Thank you so much for being here, Paddy.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah Jane.